Hello fellow booktubers, my name is Lauren and you're watching Dreams Books Courage. I feel like I have not filmed a video for this channel in a long time, although I did post a review of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them if you want to watch that. But it's definitely been quite a while since I've just been filming videos in my room, but now I'm back home for the holidays until like late January, so you'll definitely be seeing a lot more videos in my room at home. And you might be wondering why I'm wearing this, but this is one of my holiday onesies, so of course I felt like I had to wear it for the holidays. Definitely expect to see a lot more Christmas outfits throughout the month of December and probably a lot of just winter themed outfits throughout January as well. But anyways, to get into what this video is about today, this is my November wrap up and I know it is super late in the month. I have to do my wrap up videos and I didn't want to double up after December, although I probably could have now that I'm thinking of it because I really am not reading a lot within December. I still have not finished one book, so yeah, it's not working out as well for me right now. But the month of November I actually did read quite a few books, and it was actually quite a good reading month for me since I am in college, and so a lot of times my time is not devoted to reading. But if I really think about it, 2 of the books that I read within November were for school, and only one wasn't, so I read a total of 3 books, which I am pretty happy about. This has definitely not been a good reading year for me, but I have read a lot of great books that I have enjoyed. So let's go ahead and get into what I managed to read in the month of November. So the first book that I read in November was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and this is of course quite a classic read, and I actually read this one for a class. I did end up quite enjoying this one quite a lot. I know some of my friends don't really like it, and I can definitely understand why, but personally I did really like it. I think mostly because of the writing style. It reminded me of Jane Austen's a lot, but also just Emily Bronte has a really great writing style and a lot of great metaphors and similes, and I love metaphors and similes, so I was very happy with those throughout this novel. And this novel is also kind of layered in the way that it's told, so I really love layered novels as well. It was kind of hard for me, especially at first, to get through this novel because I'm pretty sure it's like a Victorian era novel, so the writing's like a Victorian author would write, and that's kind of hard to get through at first, but it's not like one of the hardest books to really get into. But in order for me to read it on time, I actually started listening to an audiobook, and I feel like that worked out very well for me. If you have Spotify Premium, you can listen to audiobooks. Like I listened to this one on audiobook on Spotify, and then I listened to another one on audiobook on Spotify, and so I think it's really cool that you can do that on Spotify and you don't have to pay any extra money for it. And also, if you're a student, at least in college, then Spotify Premium is only $5 a month instead of the usual $10. I'm not sponsored by them, but I just really love Spotify and I use it all the time, and it's especially great for whenever you have to read classics like this one. Anyways, back to this novel. This is about a man and a woman, as most novels are. The man's name is Heathcliff and the woman's name is Catherine, and they grew up together, but because of society, their lives kind of differ a lot from each other. They are treated a lot differently, and they go through different hardships, and basically all the characters within this novel are completely despicable. They're really horrible characters. Like, if you think the characters in Gatsby are horrible, these are probably like 10 times worse. I just really do not like these characters. For the most part, I really can't even feel sympathy for them. But besides that, I just really liked it anyways. I don't know what it is about this novel, but I do like Victorian novels, and so I did like this one. But I think a lot of it was due to Emily Bronte's writing style and the fact that I dislike her writing style. I don't want to talk too much about this one, but I did really enjoy this novel, and you may or may not. If you can handle characters that are horrible people, but like the writing style is good and like structurally it's a good novel, then maybe pick this one up, but definitely don't expect any like romance or happiness or anything like that. Maybe more along the lines of if you like Frankenstein, maybe pick this one up. But personally, I did quite enjoy it, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next novel that I read, I actually do not have with me because I borrowed it from my brother like back during the summer, and I finally finished it. And that novel is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. This novel takes place within the Star Wars universe, and I believe that it is canon to Star Wars. I'm pretty sure it starts between episodes 3 and 4, so like around the time that Rogue One is happening, and then it goes on from 4 through 6, and then it stops a little bit after 6, so it definitely covers a wide expanse of Star Wars, except that nothing that happens within this book really happens within the Star Wars movies. So it's really interesting in that aspect, and it also doesn't really talk about the main characters at all, which is another great thing because a lot of times people just want to do stories about the main characters of Star Wars, but I think it's like 100 times more interesting to investigate these new characters and their lives, and that's exactly what this novel did. The 2 main characters within this novel are best friends growing up, and they both join the Empire and become very high ranking within the Empire, until one kind of changes their mind about the Empire and their outlook on it, and so they kind of go off on their own and they end up joining the rebellion. So within this novel you really get both aspects, both from the rebellion and from the Empire, and I feel like there aren't enough characters talked about within the Empire. It's interesting to see their mindsets and how they think about things differently than the people in the rebellion do, because of course the people within the Empire think they're doing the right thing, and it's kind of crazy to see that there are good people within the Empire, because you kind of assume everyone within the Empire is evil, but that's not really the case, and I feel like this book makes a great case for that, although of course it's still not pro-Empire. But this novel is very interesting and well done, and you can really tell that the author has a deep love for Star Wars. I just love seeing like the background mechanics of Star Wars and the Empire and the Rebellion, and I just loved not just focusing on like main characters or really talking about them at all. These two main characters broke my heart in like the best way but also the worst way, and I just love their stories and how they intertwined and just the things that happened within this novel. I will admit it kind of turned into like a star-crossed lovers thing, but I feel like the ending and just all of it kind of worked out well together. I know I'm not really talking about anything very specific in this novel, but I think it's better to just go into this one not really knowing what's happening and just not really knowing at all what to expect. I just feel like it's one of those novels to go into without any preconceptions about it, because this novel definitely took me places that I did not think it would lead to, and it was very interesting and heartbreaking in some ways, and I really need this novel to have a sequel, although I don't know if it will. It definitely left off at a part at the end where it could have a sequel, but I could understand if it didn't too. This is my first time reading Claudia Gray, and I really enjoyed this book. I think she has another novel within the Star Wars canon called Bloodline, so I do want to read that one as well. But this one was really great, and I would definitely recommend it if you're a fan of Star Wars. The writing style wasn't like amazing or anything, it was just pretty average, but the story was really great and I really enjoyed that. And I feel like a lot of the characters, even more minor characters, were very fleshed out. And this book definitely kept me guessing until the very end of it. I just did not know what was going to happen with the two main characters. There are definitely some very sad parts and some happy parts. But overall, it's just a great novel, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend it. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan, but I feel like you could like this one even if you're not. And the last novel that I read in the month of November, I'm not even sure if you can consider this one a novel. It's quite short, but that is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, and it's only 115 pages long, so it's definitely a quick read, although of course the writing style is a bit older, so it kind of takes you a bit to get into it. I read this one for a class as well. I feel like I've been struggling a lot with this novel. It's just hard to separate your mind from the contemporary time and the time period within which this was written, because it definitely has like derogatory language, and just the way it features native peoples is just wrong in a lot of ways. And so definitely within my class there was a lot of talk about whether or not Conrad himself was racist. Although this novel is definitely anti-imperialist, it could still be racist. It's just a hard topic to discuss and really like come up with your own solution, because obviously you can't really talk to Conrad and see whether or not he was racist. And so of course scholars continue to debate this. In my reading of it, I just had to like put apart like the racism as much as I possibly could, because of course I don't know who Conrad was as a person or what he was thinking when he was writing this. Sometimes authors use more harsh language to kind of get their point across, so I don't know if that's what he was doing here. I do really enjoy Joseph Conrad's writing style. He's such an amazing author. I read a short story by him before this called The Secret Sharer, and I enjoyed that just based on his writing style alone. And this was kind of the same way, although the story was just kind of not something I was really interested in. It's about this man traveling up a river in Africa, if I remember correctly, and just kind of like what he sees and what he experiences. And it also kind of deals with colonialism and also forced colonization, which I definitely think is an important topic to talk about. And so on that front of like anti-imperialism, I definitely do think that this is a great read for that. Although it's just odd to read a novel that is anti-imperialist but also seems kind of racist, but I do like it for its anti-imperialist message. So overall, I just really enjoyed the writing style. But the fact that I wasn't really interested in the story it was telling definitely docked off some points, and it just kind of made it a little more boring for me. So I ended up giving this novel 3.5 stars. But I definitely think it's an interesting read to make you think more about anti-imperialism and forced colonization. So these are the 2 out of the 3 novels that I read in the month of November. I will admit it was definitely not a lot of reading that got done, but honestly this has been better than my other months. I probably will end up reading more next year just because of the English classes that I'm taking, because next semester I'll probably have to read like 10 novels or something crazy like that, so we'll see how that goes. I probably will not have a lot of time for leisure reading. If you want to hear more thoughts on these novels specifically and more like my analysis on them as an English major and within the classes that I took over them, I am posting that video in 2 days hopefully. Or if that doesn't happen, I'll be leaving a link to that video down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I would love to know down below how many books that you read in the month of November. And now I'm gonna go get back to reading.